Welcome to our video series on the startup journey. We all admire the success of startups and we all know about the success of startups, but a lot of hard work and sacrifice goes into it. A lot of founders put in a lot of hours to contribute to the success. This is especially true for the startups that work with the low and the moderate income segments. Through our series, we want to bring the personal stories, motivations, and different challenges of these founders and the startups to you. These founders have received support from the Financial Inclusion Lab and CIECO, hosted by the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. You can know more about the Financial Inclusion Lab and get to know more about these startups by clicking on the link in the description box. Please state your name and the name of the startup.
So, my name is Manish. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Fello.
Okay. And what does Fello do? Can you let us know a bit about Fello?
Yes, Fello is basically trying to make banking fun and rewarding for the young India. How exactly Fello works is very simple. Whenever users come and save through Fello, for every 500 rupees they save, they get gaming tickets using which they can play the weekly game which is listed on the application. And within that, they get to win rewards up to 1 crore. Even if they lose, nothing happens. The money grows by 12%. So the more they save, the more rewards they get. And that's how we're trying to make savings fun and rewarding as a first league of the product. Eventually, we're planning to make banking fun and rewarding by bringing other sort of banking products.
Okay. So what segment do you work with when you say young Indians?
Yes.
What exactly does it constitute of?
Right now, the target group, what we are focusing is 25 to 35-year-old working professionals belonging to tier 1 and tier 2 cities.
Okay.
We also saw a very small segment of low middle income class group also coming in, but we saw the biggest chunk of money coming in from people who belong to tier 1, tier 2 salaried professionals. That is what we are seeing at this point of time.
Okay.
Average age of an investing user on our platform right now is around 27.5.
Okay.
Who's making an average salary of 50,000 rupees per month.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So before we get into the entire journey of Fello and your entrepreneurial journey, we want to know a bit about how did you sort of get into this? What were you doing before becoming an entrepreneur? If you can just shed some light on that.
Sure. So before starting up, I was working with this company called Coinex. Even before that, I did my master's in States, after which I came back to India and I wanted to sort of explore the startup ecosystem, but I wanted to work in a startup even before starting my entrepreneurial journey. So that's when I came across this company called Coinex. Back then, Coinex was India's largest cryptocurrency exchange. And I was the first team member after the co-founders and played a leading role in scaling the company to an exchange which was doing almost like $300 million in trading volume per day. Even the team grew from a humble 6-member team to a 70 to 80-member team. And we saw the entire journey. But because of then regulatory concerns, Coinex pivoted to Flowbiz. And I was there along with the team when the pivot happened as well. And right now, Flowbiz is a $42 million, more than that, Sequoia-backed startup right now. No more a startup, very big company. That is when I exited and I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2021. So yeah, that's been the story before starting up Fello.
Okay, and what made you jump to Fello? Like, what was your sort of motivation or inspiration to start something of your own?
Motivation, inspiration has always been right from a very young age, I guess. So I guess it was during my third year of engineering. I was interning with this startup called Zipper.
Okay.
Zipper was a startup based out of Hyderabad. What Zipper did is they were trying to make addresses simple. For example, your address is like a very long address which no one tends to remember. They made it like an 8-digit alphanumeric code. And I was fortunate enough to be one of their early interns, and I was very closely working with the founders back then. And that is when I saw them solving day-to-day problems. And that's when I saw my other, family people going to corporate jobs, and it was just a mundane thing what they were doing. And solving a day-to-day problem gave me the absolute excitement when compared to what other people were doing. And post my undergraduation, I was working with HSBC. That was my first job, and zero excitement, just repeating the same work every day.
Okay.
And that is when I realized that this is not me at all. I loved my internship more than my full-time job. And that is when I realized that, in the long run, I will be stepping into building a business which solves a day-to-day problem in a much more innovative way. So that is how the seed of entrepreneurship came in me. And yeah, eventually, I'm glad that it turned out to be my full-time professional, not just professional, even a personal life thing right now, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you get the idea of Fellow? Like, what exactly made you start with Fellow as your first sort of stepping stone in
Yeah.
your journey?
So I guess since post undergraduation, I've been doing nothing apart from just finance. I've been in the fintech ecosystem only. Let it be in fintech and banking, especially. Let it be HSBC. Let it be my master's was in finance,
Okay.
and then Coinex was into trading. Flowbiz was into accounting, and during this entire 6 to 7 years, I was interacting with a lot of consumers. That is where I found that there's a very massive problem statement existing. But after I met Shaurya, we both started. He also comes from a fintech background. He was working at BlackRock, and he would come from the tech side of finance. Once we both started ideating together, we spoke with over 1,000 such working individuals belonging to tier 1 and tier 2 cities. And we found out that these people have a very poor inclination towards healthy finance,
Okay.
still saving money in traditional savings bank account, and very low inclination towards financial inclusion. And that is when we found that this problem is very big. Though there are a lot of companies who are trying to solve it, it just did not hit the home run yet. And that is where we thought, let's take this as a problem statement and try to come up with a solution. And in the process of solutions, Fellow was one of the solutions which we got. We validated it very fast, and once we saw the metrics were really good, we thought this is a business what we have to build in the long run. So yeah, that's how the idea of Fellow came up, and that's how we ended up building it for the last. I have been building it for the last 1.5 2 years.
Okay. And now, when you look back at the journey,
Yes.
what do you think would be some challenges or some roadblocks that you sort of faced?
A lot of roadblocks, in fact. First thing, you have been seeing the other side of startup. You're not been in the founder's shoes, right? One of the things what people get misled about the entrepreneurship journey is they just see the fancy news of fundraisers, etc., etc. But right now you're getting into the business. That is where the hurdles come up. The first and biggest hurdle which we had was capital.
Okay.
Like you're trying to play the B2C game, and you're trying to compete with the biggest giants out there. And capital is very, very essential to grow and capture the piece of the big cake. And that is where during our early days, CI and MSC sort of came into picture in getting the growth accelerated as soon as possible so that we can pitch to investors as soon as possible as well. So first challenge was, and we were raising at a time where it was peak pandemic.
Correct.
You just did not we had so many interviews scheduled with VCs. Everyone told that I'm down with COVID. I just can't take your call. Our entire fundraise got pushed by 3 months. So that is the first problem statement. Second one was hiring. People think, one of the things what people say when I say that hiring is a challenge, they say that there's so many people available to sort of hire. But, to build the early founding team, you need someone who is way better than you. That is what we look out for. And getting such sort of people is very difficult. So taking these two things into consideration, you are working in a fintech ecosystem. And every day you see new regulations coming in.
Right.
So you always need to be on the mark with existing regulations. So these are the three biggest challenges, especially while working in a fintech ecosystem. I found it, but I guess the expertise of me and Shaurya sort of helped us out in going through these challenges in a very, very good way, adding on to the mentorship and advisory what we got throughout, let it be CI, let it be MSC. We were able to tackle it in a very, very efficient way.
Okay. So you've spoken about some of the professional sort of challenges or challenges
Yes.
that were there in the journey,
Yes.
but I would like to take a small deviation
Okay.
and also talk about your personal life.
Yes, yes.
How has entrepreneurship sort of impacted your personal life, and has it impacted in the first place? And if yes, then what do you think are some adjustments that you made?
Impacted, yes, for sure. Firstly, my parents took a flip, to be honest, when I told that, firstly, they were super shocked when I told that I'm coming back from US to India. That was the first heart attack what I gave to them. Then life was sorted in my previous company. Flowbiz was doing amazingly well. I mean, Coinex pivoted to Flowbiz, and Flowbiz was just doing fantabulously well. And I had a very good position out there, like being the founding team member. I knew that my future would be very good with Flowbiz. But one fine day, went and told that, hey, like I'm designing and I want to build a startup. And my parents don't know the VC ecosystem. My dad comes from a traditional business background, and I was like, you're trying to build such a big company. How would you get the capital and all these things? And that is where I told him, I had to bring him the assurance that, hey, like I'll take care of it. I explained him the VC structure. I did not understand. Thanks to Shark Tank, eventually understood how it works.
Okay.
But the biggest impact, I mean, they understood that, they trusted me, point one. But the biggest challenge, what happened was, prior to that, your priority order was very different. Like family is your only priority back then, family and personal life. But once you start a business, the priority order changes completely. Consumers turn out to be your first priority. Second, your investors. Third, your team members. Then fourth, family, and fifth, your personal life comes into picture.
Right.
So adjusting this was very, very difficult during the initial days. Even for the first 3 months, my family was thinking that, this guy just throwing things in the air until and unless our blogs actually came out to the public, we came on paper. That is when they realized, oh, this guy's actually doing something. But once the family started believing us in a very concrete way, that is where we also found the peace that they're happy with what we're doing. Because though whatever you're building, you always want your family to sort of understand, for them to have that peace of mind also, right? So once they found it, everything was a piece of cake. Everything got started getting settling in a good way. But I guess talking more of a personal front, entrepreneurship is not a profession, it's a life what you're trying to pick up.
Absolutely.
People don't tend to think of this thing at all. And whoever is sort of watching this and who is sort of trying to pick up entrepreneurship as a career, they shouldn't think it's like a fancy thing which everyone is trying to pick up. You're reasonable for your question. You need to answer so many people in your life, and once that comes into picture, that is where they see that, oh, it's very difficult to manage. But I guess thankfully we learned it. I guess even thanks to Shaurya that we speak of our problems, let it be personal, professional, everything in a very plain way, and that is where even we were able to sort of get through these in a very good way. So yeah, challenges were there, but I guess we navigated in the best way possible, and right now we're in a peace zone. To be honest,
Okay.
you'll learn it. You'll learn it throughout. No one learned walking initially,
Yeah.
right? So you'll be there. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's amazing to hear. So, going back to again the challenges that you
Yes.
mentioned,
Yes.
you said that hiring was also
Yes.
something that was a
Yes.
challenge for you,
Yes.
right? So, can you shed some light on the team as such? Like, how
Yeah.
big is your team? How do
Yes.
you manage to sort of build a team and
Yes.
manage them on a regular
Absolutely.
basis?
Right now, we have a 25-member team, and of those, we have 11 developers, and the rest are 8 into marketing, and the remaining is into operations and finance. Shaurya takes care of the entire tech and product side of things. I
Okay.
take care of marketing and operations, fundraise, finance comes under my belt. And how exactly we hire is very simple. If any responsibility is eating up more than 40% of my bandwidth or Shaurya's bandwidth, we blindly hire for that position because we feel that our time needs to be given into other things for the larger scope of the business. So that is how we started hiring each and every individual.
Okay.
And right now, the 25-member team who have strictly to one vertical, we don't overhire for any position, and that is how we were able to build the team. We knew what was the requirement needed, and that is where again our past experience of working in a startup also helped us out whom to hire, when to hire, and how to hire. So that is how we were able to build the initial team. It took a lot of time for us, to be honest. Building the early founding team was so difficult because, again, as I told you in the past, we try to hire someone who is smarter than us.
Right.
Because we want them to pick the vertical. We think of these lines that if me and Shaurya are not there in the office, or think of a situation that 1 month we are going for any personal crisis, or even in terms of fundraising thing, will the team be able to run the business? And right now we're super confident that every team member can run the business even if we are not there, and they have the business acumen. So that is the best thing what we are able to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the team is one thing, and
Yes.
you also have your family
Yes.
as a backbone.
Yes.
But apart from this, if you
Uh-huh.
look at the ecosystem, the
Yes.
startup ecosystem,
Yes.
how exactly do you think the ecosystem has supported you?
Yes.
And there are a lot of accelerator programs,
Oh,
and you
yes.
were also
Oh, yes.
part of the financial inclusion lab.
Exactly.
So what exactly has been their role, and what
Yes.
support have you received from
The,
them?
the name itself says, right? It's called accelerator, and the name as it says, it accelerates your business.
Right.
One of the things what happens is every business has problems. problems. And when I'm saying problems, these are questions which you need to answer. If you want to navigate by yourself, one of the things what I realize, it takes time. It's all about asking the right set of questions to the right channel of people, and that is where accelerators came into picture. For example, during the initial days of building Fello, we wanted to bring in more financial products, and we went with the problem statement that what is the next financial asset which we need to bring into the platform, and that is where MSC sort of helped us out in doing a very granular research with a huge set of target audience, and that is where they came up with the feedback that gold and real estate is something which is very key and instrumental to these people, and they're very emotional about it. And irrespective of these conditions, people are still investing in gold and real estate. Of course, we can't list real estate on our platform, so that is where we saw that digital gold as a product was booming significantly in India, and we were able to take a decision as soon as possible. If you're trying to do it by ourselves, maybe it would have taken like what good 1 to 2 months, but MSC was able to do it just within a short span of 2 weeks, and it just makes your decision making process so fast. That is where accelerators come into picture. Like, of course, they'll help you out with fundraising and all, that is secondary, but you'll be able to pitch it in the right way only if your problems are solved in the right way. So I feel that that is where, let it be the Financial Inclusion Lab or even the MSC team, has sort of helped us out so crucially at the peak, at the best time possible as well. And couldn't be more thankful to them for what they did during initial days. And right now, Digital Gold is the most trending product on Fello. I'm not even kidding it. So these were the few things where our accelerators and incubators helped us out a lot. Even right now, we have a healthy association with them in spite of, because each stage has new problem statements coming up, and the people who are there in these accelerators have already passed those stages, right? So they even help us out right now in every stage possible with every division possible as well.
Okay, all right, that's great to hear. So if we are to look at the lessons that you've had throughout your entire journey, I'm sure it's been a sort of a ride where you've had highs and lows and everything in between. So what would be some of your biggest lessons if you had to sort of pick out a few?
Biggest lessons? First thing, it's not easy. It's absolutely not easy. Not as easy as I thought. Because I guess with my previous startup, Coinex, where I worked at, we were one of the right products at the right time, and Coinex just, we had a hockey stick curve, and had the best team possible as well. Like crypto was a boom back then. Every team member wanted to be in the crypto ecosystem, so building the team, everything was easy. Now, once you get into the boots of building things from the scratch, that is where the reality kicks in.
Right.
And that is the first thing what I felt, that it is not as easy as it looks. Especially fundraising is not as easy as it looks. Everyone go, wow of, the numbers what you achieve and the numbers what you get in terms of valuations or other things. But meeting the metrics to even pitch those things is so difficult. And that is the first lesson what I learned. Second thing is, it's a very lonely journey. It is a very lonely journey. Like, again, I speak with so many founders, and they say that how exactly do you think is a startup journey? Again, they think that I'll speak the most fancier side of things, which I'll of course tell them for sure. But it's such a lonely journey that you have sort of given up your personal life. On professional life, you're having all these challenges, and you have to take care of yourself as well. And handling all these things sometimes gets onto your nerves as well, and that is where you train yourself in the best way possible, that your mental health is so strong that you will be able to answer all these things, because so many people you're answerable to as well, right? So these have been the two biggest learnings for me, and right now new learnings are coming up. Like at seed stage, these were things what I learned, and those have been solved. Now the second biggest learnings what I'm getting to right now is taking from a pre-series A to a series A level. Now metrics is coming into picture. Now how to hit those metrics with the right team possible, that is where I'm learning that I learned a lot in hiring. I did my own bit of mistakes. One thing what I realized is, until you get your hands dirty, don't hire someone. For example, I hired one of the first hires what I did was head of marketing. Went very bad, went terribly bad, and that is when I realized that don't hire someone until you have sort of worked in it for at least 1 to 2 months, because you'll get to ask the right set of questions to the end people. And right now for closing each position, we take at least 6 months. The team will ask like, what are you guys even doing? But eventually they realize that, we take the right set of people. So take your time in terms of hiring, but again, make sure you know what to ask, and you'll get to know what to ask only if you did those things. So these are three things what I learned in a very concrete way. But again, I know that once the company grows, once I grow, there'll be even more lot of learnings eventually. But yeah, that's the
Okay.
thing.
Great. So, I mean, I know that these are your lessons,
Yes.
and you've spoken about how what has motivated you in the past
Yes.
to sort of start your journey.
Yes.
But to take it a little further,
Yes.
if you had to talk about things that keep you going every day
Yes.
on a day-to-day basis,
Yes.
what would be those things? Like, what do you think sort of helps you keep going
Team
day in and
motivates me
day?
big time. Like my team motivates me so much that one of the things what happens to every founder is initially you're so motivated that after a point of time that you always need to keep yourself motivated also. But let's speak about harsh reality over here. Like you need to. It's very difficult for you to be 24/7 overexcited and keep everyone boosting. Like you
Right.
also have an energy saturation, right? So there needs to be some other motivation factor for you to do it. And I'm super glad that team has reached a point that they come and give me fresh ideas. They come and do things. Some people actually tell it to those specific people in my team that you are overworking more than us, and you make me feel that I'm working very less, and you give me the motivation to actually keep working more. So that is the first thing what it absolutely excites me.
Just to break you here,
Yes.
like, what do you think makes them motivated? Like, what do you think is the
we
secret
we
sauce?
gave them the ownership of the vertical. Like we don't go and tell do this, do that. Once they found that founders are trusting us, which we do, we know we hired because we trust them.
Right.
Once they notice that we trust them so much that they are vouching for our words, they started feeling very responsible for the particular vertical. And right now it came to that extent, as I'm saying, that they are giving way more insights than what I might have given for that particular work. That is where I found that, it keeps me motivated big time. It's all about just meeting the teams required. Early stage, why a team member joins an early stage startup is because they want to feel things. Because they worked in other companies.
Right.
They saw that their voice is not being felt. And suddenly they came to Fello and seeing that they have an idea, it's getting executed immediately, and founders are appreciating for it. And that is where they start coming up with new initiatives, new ideas, and that keeps me even more. That's the first thing which keeps me motivated. Secondly, I guess how the business is growing, how big the market is. Of course, that's the second most exciting thing, which always keeps any founders motivated in this line of business, especially fintech being such a cutthroat market. We were able to sort of raise like these many rounds of funding from some of the best VCs possible. It means that we're doing something right as well. And that is another thing which sort of always keeps us motivated. That in spite of the funding winter, we're one of these companies which were able to raise funding. It means that we are doing something good which other companies are actually not doing. So these two things will always keep compounding that one team, one market validation, and that's how we're able to keep ourselves motivated 24. Friends, family, of course, cheer for us every time.
Sure, yeah.
But there are a lot of other things in a really real time world which needs to be there to keep yourself motivated, and nothing beats these two things for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's great to hear. So, if I had to borrow some piece of advice from you,
Yes.
and for all the budding entrepreneurs that are there, or for
Yes.
people who are just starting out or want to start out,
Yes.
what do you think would be some golden advice that you would like to give them?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's one thing which comes very immediately to my mind, and there's a blind principle what I follow. Don't squeeze a product into the market. Build a product what the market wants. What I mean by this is, you see a product which is there in the Western countries,
Right.
and you want to sort of just build it and try to squeeze it into the market. The market might not be needing it. So
Correct.
first read the market, and then try to build a business for them. It might take time, but you will just hit right on the money over there. Second thing, what I see a lot of people doing mistakes is your idea cannot be a business, but a business can eventually be an idea. For example, a lot of budding entrepreneurs reach out to me and say that, hey, like I have an idea, I want to build out of it. And then I say, oh, like tell me the idea. Not even a pitch, just share the idea. then the idea is great, but then I asked it, how will you make money out of it? That is where most of the founders miss out, that you eventually need to make money out of the idea, so monetization, etc. So every idea cannot be a business, but businesses can eventually become good ideas in the long run. And the third piece of advice, what I really see is, if you're trying to build, put 100% into it. Like, I see a lot of people coming and asking me that, hey, I'm working while I'm doing this while I'm working. And the question what I ask them is, why are you even working? And they say that I want to have financial stability. Uh, I asked them a follow-up question. I asked them that, what are you expecting this company to grow into? There was like, this will be this big, I want to do these numbers. Then I was like, don't you think that if you want to do that, you will of course have financial stability? Then they were like, of course, I'll get it, but what about now? So the biggest mistake what they tend to do is they're trying to get into the startup journey. They start trying to build a business. People forget that you're eventually building a business. Business will reap financial benefits. It's the temporary 6-month trouble what you will have.
Right.
They forget that and they always go with plan B. I did not have plan B. I'm not just trying to brag. I just resigned my company. I had nothing absolutely. Of course, I made sure that if everything goes wrong, can I sort of feed myself without
there's
depending on
some
my family
buffer.
for like 6 months to 8 months. Is the only thing what I had.
Yeah.
So I had no plan B. I went into the startup journey, and one of the things which I also want to advise is, if you're going into the startup journey and if you're trying to do something with leaving everything, the market values you way, way, way more than an MBA student. I'm not even kidding it. Like in the interviews, when I see someone who told that they're ex-founders and it failed also, I'm fine with it. It shows a courage that they are ready to sort of join an early stage startup.
Right.
So in nutshell, what I want to say is, don't have plan Bs. If you're having plan B, then you're absolutely not in for the business. So eventually the financial returns will reap. It's just the 6-month trouble or the early trouble what you have to sort of go through. So yeah, these are the three things what I see as mistakes what other people do. And if they try to cover these things, I guess people can build amazing business. So many amazing problem statements existing in the market that people can just exploit them right now.
Right.
Other businesses, other problems, other learnings, they will feel
Definitely
it.
get
But at
it.
a root level, this is something what I really see coming up right now. Yeah.
Okay. I think I would also like to add that one point you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier about not looking at the fancy side of
Oh yes,
entrepreneurship.
yes,
I
please,
think we've been
please.
hearing that a lot from
Yes.
a lot of
Is it?
founders.
Man,
Yeah.
like this is the most I won't say unfortunate, but it excites people looking, like these people are doing these things. It gives them the excitement, but they should speak with such sort of founders. They just shouldn't speak with those founders who are actually doing good things.
Right.
They need to speak with founders who did not do the good things, but they learned something out of it. So it needs to be a mix and match. I guess I don't know, like, if I'm telling the right things or not. Media always tries to focus only on the polar things, either the extreme successes or the extreme failures. They don't tell the between journey, which is very, very crucial for a
Right.
startup or aspirant. And I guess like something like these podcasts or other things, other channels will actually shed proper light on it, so that founders who are trying to build something will get a reality check, rather than the fancier or like the extreme, sad side of stuff while they're sort
Absolutely.
of taking into consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Manish, that's all we have for today.
Thanks
a lot for
Thanks a
joining
lot for
us.
hosting me as well. It was great speaking
Thank
with
you
you
so
and
much.
sharing my
We're
insights.
very glad to have you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.